presenting Ibu Santri Djahimo as our last speaker of today's webinar. Most of us knows that she's the lecturer, one of the lecturers at the English department in Nusa Cendana University, but she also had the language laboratory of ESCAPE faculty. And according to her ability, she developed herself into writing, researching, and also member of Women in Visual career. And as well as she has been involved in numerous international conferences and seminars, and also at national level, to further develop herself in terms of skills and experiences, as she would like to continue pursuing her interest in innovations, language acquisition, language teaching, early childhood education, SLA, language learning as well, of course, foreign language learning and applied linguistics, and specifically on TEFL and TESOL. Ibu Santri, we are interested to see what you're going to explore more. So without further ado, I give the floor to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ibu Linda. Hope everyone is still awake. It has been, this event has been going on for like 3-4 hours. But I promise you this is going to be the last session of the day. Although the number of participants has decreased from almost 500 to 303 now, but yeah, it won't discourage us from continuing this webinar. Well, let me share my screen to be able to make things clearer. Okay, here it is. I'll zoom it out. We have heard from the first 3 presenters. They have talked about researching, writing, and publishing, seen from the angle of looking from the issues of academic side. I'm going to be a little bit different because I'm going to discuss in a more motivational way of how to do these 3 activities based on your level. So still I use the topic as the title of my presentation, researching, writing, publishing, but I add a kind of challenging question there, a little question there, how difficult can they be? I call that challenging questions because everyone can ask him or herself, how difficult can researching, writing, and publishing be for me? Let me jump to the outline. I'll start by background. It's not really background, but I just provide like questions and a kind of a statement. And then researching, writing, publishing, and the last one will be conclusions. Now, I'd like all of us here think about the first question. Why are these 3 activities important? Why is researching important? Why is writing important? Why is publishing important? I heard from Ramon when he talked about reasons for academic publication, saying that, okay, when you say that it's for me to get my degree, it's not the reason. It's not what makes it important. Students might say, okay, without researching and writing, I can't get my degree. I can't get my PhD. That's not the reason. The reason, what I mean by the reason here is you do the things for others, not for you yourself. So think about why are these three activities important for you for the sake of others. And then the second question is, why do people tend to think that these activities are hard? Because many people avoid these kind of activities, saying that because they are not easy for me. Even I used to have a friend, she did her master degree in a particular field of study. And on the first day, sitting in the classroom, when she found out that one of the assignment was to write and submit an essay, then she quit at that time. She transferred to another department, but before she tried to find out that no essay writing in that department. See, that how people think about these activities, researching, writing, publishing, they try to avoid it. The question is why? Are you the one who is afraid of these activities? And then the next one is how to make research fun and interesting. To make people like these kind of activities, we or you yourself, you have to make your research fun and interesting. And so you like it, you like doing it, you like conducting it. In writing process, you have to think about how to make a good writing. Okay, before coming to how to make a good writing, how to start writing. If you've already, when I'm talking about writing, I'm not talking about as long as you know ABCD, then you can write. Okay, students of kindergarten know that. But when I'm talking about good writing, I'm talking about good content of your writing. And then the last one, I will just say a little things dealing with publishing, how to publish the papers. I'm not going to explain in detail about all this stuff because theoretically or academically, the other three presenters have already elaborated these issues really well. As I mentioned before, I will look for this issue from motivational point of view. Now let me continue. I'll start from definition. When we hear the word research, I don't know what comes to your mind, but for me, research has been defined in various ways, in many ways by many people, by many experts. But from all the definitions, what I can say is it is about the process of collecting data, and the data will be analyzed in order to answer a question or even more than one questions. We are not aware that in everyday life, in our everyday life, we always conduct, we always carry out research. I'm going to give you an example. Like in the classroom, you students, you are trying to think and find a way out of how to find out particular lectures way of teaching or a particular lecture's method. By having that kind of intention, it will motivate you to conduct a research. But the difference is that the research doesn't need scientific method. When I'm talking about research here, this research, quote unquote, is the one or the project or the study which will use scientific method. Again, the scientific method here makes a difference between this research that I'm talking about and the research that we always deal in our daily life. Research may come in many forms. You you might find out things dealing with primary research, secondary or scientific, so on and so forth. So what form you use has to really be based on the aim. So different aims may come with different forms of research. That's the second issue about research that I need to raise today. And the third one is about the terms. Especially for you students, you usually get confused with terms that you usually find in research field. Sometimes you can't differentiate between research types and research methods and research methodology. Students usually interchangeably use that, but they're different. And then some of you are confused in using the term research design and research types. And you don't understand about primary data, what primary data is, what secondary data is, dependent, independent variables, hypothesis, population sample, etc., etc. In order to be able to understand, to know every single term found in a research field, you have to read a lot. You can read from other people's research results, or you can read from other references, from particular books that talked about research. So for example, when you're talking about the research type, some of you might say, okay, research types are theoretical research, applied research, exploratory, descriptive, qualitative, quantitative, and so on and so forth. But others might have different opinion about it. And the same thing happens when you're talking about research methods and research methodology. So I suggest you to read a lot. Again, if you still remember the statement from Bryant that has been quoted by Ramon, research is spending 6 hours reading. Now, in order to find out these terms, you don't need that 6 hours from 35 papers. You just need one click away. You just go to Google searching machine and then you type one click, everything is there. The question is whether or not you want to read, whether or not you really want to find that out. Okay, I'll jump directly because I can't spend too much time here. Let's talk about the purpose. This is the fourth issue. The purpose of research. The ultimate one is to find something new. I call that input. To create a better something. I call that output. If I'm not mistaken, this has been raised by Neil, saying that when you are conducting your research, when you're doing your research, it means that you are contributing new knowledge to the existing one. So let's say you can come up with something which is totally new, yes, but you can also create a new one out of the existing one. That's why I say the ultimate purpose is to find something new or to create something new, to create a better something. If you have good input, of course, the output is going to be great, right? If you have not so good input, then the output will follow that not so good one, if you know what I mean. And then the fifth one is the question about how to make your research fun and interesting. I mentioned earlier, in order to like our own work, in order to like what we are doing, in order to enjoy what we are doing, we have to we have to make our research, our project, our study fun and interesting. How to do that? Well, the main answer is to find fun, interesting, and not so complicated issues to work on. When you are trying to think about a topic to work on, make sure that it's fun and interesting for you. That's why another suggestion for the students here, I can see that many of you who are staying here are students. Do not go to your friends and beg them or ask them to give you the topic to write. If it's only a kind of suggestion, then that's okay. Can you suggest what should I write? And they will give you like the clue, the bigger frame of what you have to do in your project. But if you just come directly and say, okay, give me the title, please, or give me the topic, no, it won't work. Because what is interesting for you might not be interesting for others, and on the other way around. So if you want to make your research fun and interesting, try to think by yourself. You can always ask ideas, opinions, just the big frame of it from others, from your other friends, from your lecturers. But do not do what might be interesting for others, but not for you. Okay? So you have to find fun, interesting, and not so complicated. Remember, not so complicated issue. Not so complicated, but not so easy as well. So find a moderate one. Make it suitable with your level. You yourself know your level better than anyone else. By doing that, you can create your project or your research fun and interesting, and you will enjoy doing that. Okay, how to start your research? You might start from a problem or problems. It can be more than one problems. And then your problems will lead you to a topic, or it can be on the other way around. You can think of a topic and then you try to think of a problem or problems. I'll give you an example. The problem might come from your own experience, yes, or it might come from the experience of others. The example for me is when I was writing my dissertation for my master's degree, the idea was from talking to a friend of mine. So he told me the story about how difficult it was to teach in rural areas because the language is not the same. He said at the time, I don't speak the language of people in the areas speak, and they don't speak Bahasa Indonesia. The students don't speak Bahasa Indonesia. So how can I teach English? So for example, if if I want to let my students know that flower is bunga, I can't do that because they won't understand what bunga is. So by doing that, I have to ask somebody else to translate, and it takes time. So after talking to him, I was thinking about a method or a strategy or a technique to bridge the gap. Because for me, there was a kind of communication gap between him as a teacher and his students. And I was thinking hard how to bridge the gap. And that was the starting point of me finding out the problems and the topic for my dissertation. As simple as that. So you also can do that. You don't need to find the problems or topics all over the world just to write your thesis or dissertation or academic writing or essay or whatever you want to write. So after coming from problems to topic or topic to problems, and you will eventually arrive at research questions or research problems of research. It can be in the form of statements or in the form of questions. But the questions have to be based on the problems that you have found earlier. Now, let me come to research and writing. I'm trying here to make a kind of link between research and writing. So research here is the process of finding out. You have heard a lot. And then when it comes to writing, it is the process of reporting. So after you find out whatever you want to answer, you need to write a report called report writing. Well, you can say report writing, you can say article, research-based article, whatever. The name is not really important, but everything is included in academic writing. So both are process. Research is how you are trying to find out the answers of your questions, of the questions that you are proposing. And after that, you will come to the stage of writing in which you have to report whatever the finding is. For students, you have your report is in the form of your thesis, right? That's stated in your, usually it's in the fourth chapter of findings and discussion or data analysis or whatever, just difference in names. So when we're talking about writing, researching and writing, it's a nightmare for some people. Now, I don't know which one is your nightmare. Either research or write or academic writing. But whichever your nightmare is, make sure that you can handle it. Because I believe that everyone here has to deal with these activities. As long as you are in the field of academics, you can't avoid from these activities. So this nightmare has to be turned out to become wonderful nightmare. Because you can't get away. You can run, but you can't hide. So like it or not, you have to try hard to like it. Even students, when you say that you don't like research, you hate writing, but eventually in order to be able to finish your study, even though it's not the main aim of doing these kind of activities, but you have to get through it. So yeah, try to handle your nightmare. Change it to become your wonderful nightmare. It's just like the title of the movie. Anyway. Okay. Let's talk about writing. It's an art. Some people say writing is an art. It is. It's also a skill. When you're learning English skills, writing is included. It's just like speaking, listening, reading. Right? It's just like playing guitar, swimming, and so on and so forth. Or it can be said that it's a process, you name it. So if you want to look at the process as an art, a skill, or a process itself, then that's okay. But the point is, when you are writing, what you're going to do is to communicate your ideas in words. That's what you call writing. And then what is the most important one in writing? Idea or ideas is the most important thing a writer not should. Remember, I cross out the word should. I changed the word should to must have because it's not a choice, it's a must. If I say the most important thing a writer should have, then, well, I can leave you an option. If you want to have, then that's okay. If you don't, then that's fine. No, it's a must. Every writer must have at least an idea. Without idea or ideas, you can't do your writing. What are you going to write if you don't have any ideas in your mind? So remember, starting from having and at least an idea. If more than one idea is, it's even better. The third issue related to writing. In order to be a good writer, you have to be a good reader. So a good writer, what I'm trying to say here is you are going to be a good writer only if you are a good reader. Good writer should read a lot. None of the writer can live without reading or can produce good writing without reading, because only by reading you can have much knowledge related to the things that you're going to write. If you can read up there, learning how to be a good reader is what makes you a writer. So if you say that I'm going to write something, but I don't want to read anything, then that's impossible. No one can do that. If you just want to write a story, then that's okay. But I think even a novelist have to spend his or her time reading others' work to become his or her reference. So that's how important reading is for a writer. Why writing is important? Writing is important because it can speak for you. It can speak on behalf of its writer. So if now, at the same time, my writing is being read by someone in another part of the world. So while I'm here, sitting here in Kupang, my writing is being read by someone in another country, for example. So I don't have to be there to tell them about everything about my idea. But my writing, my work can speak for me. That's what good writing is. So when people read your work, they will understand, or they will feel like it's really clear as when you yourself stand in front of them and talk to them. So make sure that your writing can speak for you or can speak on behalf of you. In order to do that, you have to come up with a good one. And then good writers can communicate their ideas well. If you are good writers, you can communicate your ideas. Some people are good in discussing about their ideas, in brainstorming their ideas. But not everyone can put the ideas well in a written form. So if you have already had good ideas, you have to brainstorm everything that you want to write, or you make a kind of outline to be able to produce good writing. Do we need other references in supporting our writing? The answer is yes. Uh, we are what I usually tell my students is we are nobody. We need somebody supporting to strengthen our writing. So in this case, we need supporting references. But the way to acknowledge has to be, we have to do that really carefully. We can quote others' opinions, we can quote others' ideas, but we need to acknowledge. We can't just copy and paste because it's called plagiarism. So if you need other people's opinions or ideas, make sure that you really understand. And then the first one is you quote directly and acknowledge. The second one is you paraphrase. So you get the idea and use your own language. You reformulate using your own language. It's not easy, I know, but well, practice is needed here. You have to keep on practicing in order to become a good writer, especially for students. So just quote and acknowledge, do not copy and paste without acknowledging. Okay, now let's jump to writing and publishing. Why do we need to publish our work? We have conducted our research, and after that, the result has been written in the form of article, for example, or thesis, or book, or whatever media. And why do we still have to publish? Isn't it enough? Then the answer is yes. The first answer why, again, has been mentioned by Van Neel, in order to contribute to the body of knowledge itself. So when you are publishing your writing, or when you are publishing your work, meaning that you are trying to share to others, to the ones who really need to find out about the things that you're working on. You're sharing, you are contributing, and you're informing at the same time. The other reason is your work needs to be validated. So by publishing your work will be validated by others. And so you yourself know the quality of your work. One more reason, indicating academic success. This is particularly for lecturers, for teachers. So if you have like many publications, that it indicates your academic success. People will look up to you and say, okay, he is really a man. He's got many publications out there in reputable journals, for example. So this is one of the reasons why publishing is needed. Gaining recognition, if you indicating academic success, and you will gain recognition. And well, the last one is quite funny actually. It's being able to survive, just like publish or perish. Well, if the choice is publish or perish, then like it or not, you have to publish. Like we are now, all lectures now, we are facing this kind of options. If no publications, then no additional income, no incentive. No publication, then no career development or no promotion to a higher level. So you can publish alone. Well, if you want to publish, then you can do that. If you don't want, then yeah, forget it. But the next step is the choice of publish or perish. And the third one is publish in high impact journals, not only publish, but published in high impact journals, maybe in Ramon's journals, Scopus Index journals, or Paris. So this kind of requirement from universities nowadays. And the last one, publish frequently in high impact journals. So let's say the university wants you to publish in high impact journals once a year or once in 6 months in one semester. And maybe you want Paris. If you do this, then yeah, everything's going to be okay. This is the last reason, being able to survive. But hopefully, when you do the publishing, the last one is not your reason. I believe that everyone here, if you do your publishing, your reason might be you want to share, because sharing is caring, right? Sharing, contributing, informing, validating, but not being able to survive. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about publishing. In order to have your work published, you have to make sure that your work is an original one. You can't take someone else's work to be published. It's yours and originally yours and of current interest. When we're talking about current interest, it really depends on the reviewers. Like for me, my writing is of current interest, but when I send it to a journal, for example, it's being rejected with the reason that, okay, it's not of the current interest. My writing is not of the current interest. So it really depends on the reviewers. And then our work has followed the template, a journal's template, like different journal has different templates. So make sure that you read the guidelines carefully before you start writing. This is important for you to know that not all publications are free. Some publications really need money. You have to pay. Not all, but there are publications. Let me put it this way. Your work will be published as long as you pay for the publication. Not only journals, but also book. Well, as far as I know, when you want to publish your book, you have to pay, at least for production fee. So many people come up with the reason for not to publish their work that, well, if I have to pay, then forget it. I don't have any money to pay for the publication. But, hello, let's ask his or her iPhone. Can it be replaced with publication fee? Well, anyway, that's none of our business. But as long as you really want your work to be published, then I think you will do whatever it takes, right? I have adopted this from AIJR. It's the process of publishing. You can look at things here, how the process continued from preparing your manuscript, of course, original research work, and then submit it after your manuscript is ready. You need to submit, and it will undergo peer review process, usually blind review. And after reviewing your work, you will get the decision, either accept it or reject it. And if it's accepted, then eventually it will be published. I'll skip this because, again, you've heard this a lot from Neil and Ramon. After submitting your work, then you have to be ready for whatever the result is. Either accept it or reject it. Don't be afraid of being rejected. Failure is everywhere, right? Uh, well, we can't avoid it. And if your work is being rejected, you can send it to any other journals. Just lower down your standard. If you send to Scopus Indus Journal and it's being rejected, lower down your standard. Find some other journal with a little bit lower in standard. That's what I mean. So don't give up. Don't stop there. Keep on finding the new one. But if it's going to be published with minor or major revision, then it's better for you to revise, because eventually after revising your work, eventually it will be published. Now, let me go back to my questions about these three activities: researching, writing, publishing. How difficult can they be? I'm not going to answer directly. I'm going to like giving you points, and you think about the points in order to answer. Each and every one of you uh, can answer by yourself. The way to overcome hardship is only by experiencing, as you never know if you never try. So if you just think that, okay, people say, my friends say, my lecturers say that researching, writing, and publishing are damn difficult. So I don't want to do that. Well, that's the witness of others, but you haven't experienced by yourself. So what about if you try to overcome the difficulties by experiencing yourself, by trying it out? Start doing your research, enjoy yourself in this process. After coming up with the result, and then start writing, and why not publishing if your work is ready? And then the second one is, the first try is always difficult. It really is. Nothing is easy, okay? Especially if it deals with the first step. So if you find the first step is difficult, when you are writing, then what you're going to say is the first word is always difficult. Don't worry, everyone faces that. Even the authors or the writers of the best-selling books in the world face the difficulties in their first step. So it's only you. You're not alone. And if you are afraid of being rejected, then put in your mind that the rejection happens even to the best ones. Ramon said his paper was rejected as well. My paper, not only one, several of my papers were rejected. So rejection happens even to the best. So students, if your proposal or your thesis have been rejected by your supervisors, don't worry, keep on working, do the revision, just don't give up, okay? Because it happens everywhere, the rejection, in order for you to become the best. And then the last one is, work hard as needed to become a researcher and writer, author. If you want to attach the title of researcher or writer, author in your name, then work hard is needed. I mean, I'm sure everyone is going to be proud of him or herself when people say that, okay, he's a researcher, she's an author. Aren't you proud of that? Of that level, of that title? If you are, then start working hard, because, well, it's not as easy as, sitting down and waiting for the moon to come onto your lap. You have to work hard. So start doing it now. And this is going to be the last point. What is it? It's a logo. It's a symbol, right? What logo? Nike. Then what does this logo say? Don't do it. Yes or no? No, that's not what it says. It says just do it. So whatever you're planning now, just do it. Don't postpone until tomorrow what you can do today. Okay. So thank you very much for listening. Hope it's going to be useful. Any questions, then I'll be more than happy to assist you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibu Santri. Such compressed content of your presentation is really uh, new, but or not new, but in terms of how you present is really new for us. So hopefully it will trigger us to learn more from what you have presented. So for the question and answer session, will be led by my fellow member of the committee, Michael. I give the floor to you to lead the Q&A session. Thank you.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes, Michael, please.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Linda, for the honorable speakers and all the audiences. We have just listened to Dr. Santri's presentation, and I also have collected all the important information that Dr. Santri is there with us. And I believe it's going to be very helpful for us to have better understanding in the field of researching, writing, and publishing. Okay, I'm Michael from the committee, and I would like to guide you in this last but not least Q&A session with Dr. Santri as our fourth speaker. So in the chat box, we have noted that there are two participants who have sent their questions. So without further ado, I'm going to read the first question, and after that, I'm going to invite Dr. Santri to answer the question. So the first question comes from Piela Benlamarco. Uh, she asks you about, I'm sorry, in your own experience when you were in university, which one is the hardest or your nightmare between researching, writing, and publishing? What's your advice or suggestion for us to improve our skills in those elements? Thank you.
Okay, I answer the first question. So when I was in university, well, it depends on what level. When I was in when I was in undergraduate level, because that was the first experience dealing with researching and writing. So I think researching was my nightmare. Uh, but when I did my master's and even my PhD, I didn't think that those activities, none of those activities was my nightmare because I can say that I got used to it. But my first experience writing an academic paper in the form of thesis when I was in undergraduate level, so I found it as my nightmare because I didn't know how to deal with that. I didn't know how to conduct research, and I didn't know how to start writing my thesis. But after consulting with my supervisor, I asked a lot and I found samples of thesis from others, from my seniors. Then I could finally turn it out that nightmare into wonderful nightmare, as I mentioned before. So my suggestion for all of you here is to find the best way out of the hardest part in your life. So whatever you are going to do now, if you see it as the hardest part of your life, then you have to try hard. Try to see the bright side of it. Try to see the positive side of it. And you have to work hard. I mentioned before, right? Because nothing comes easy in your way. You can't just sit and wait for someone else to come and just give you the degree for free. You can't do that. So whatever your motivation is, make sure that you need to work hard to achieve. I guess that answers your questions, hopefully.
Thank you, Dr. Santri, for your elaboration. Someone just sent her question, so it's gonna be two questions left for you, Dr. Santri. So now we move to the second question that comes from Charles. So he asks you, what is the consideration given to a first-time publisher? It is the same, more or less, than an experienced writer's work that regularly published. So it's the question.
Okay. I'm it's the question is a bit unclear for me, but I'm trying to say it this way. You might want to ask about the thing that I gave you as the example. You sent your paper to, for example, to Ramon's journal, and then it's being rejected. Then you send it to the second journal. Hopefully, I'm not wrong in interpreting your question, Charles. Well, as you can see from Ramon's presentation and also Ibu Ratna's presentation, journals have rank. Not only students in the classroom have rank, right? Journals have rank. So they have like the highest ranked to the lower one. Usually the lowest one, well, what I'm afraid is the lowest one usually belongs to Predator Journal. But well, anyway, let's assume that Ramon's journal, because it's Corpus Index journals, Ramon's journals are on the top. That's well, let's say high rank. And that's become your first aim. You sent your paper to the top journals, reputable journals, that's what people say. And because they have a very good standard, the competition is very tight. So you will lose some points based on their requirements. So you failed publishing your paper in that journal. They reject. The reviewers decide to reject your paper because it cannot fulfill their requirement. And you have to find like lower impact journal or lower ranked journals as the destination of your paper to be published. That's what I mean by what is it? Sending your paper to the first one, and then when it's being rejected, you send to another one. Hopefully, I'm not getting your question wrong, Charles. Michael?
Thank you, Dr. Santri, for the answer. Now we have question number 3 that comes from Mr. Ramon. So, Dr. Santri, he asks you about your point of view. Does it hurt your ego as a researcher if a reviewer or editor makes a suggestion on your paper that will definitely change the original concept? So that's the question.
Wow, it's a very challenging question from a reviewer. My goodness. Okay, Ramon, frankly speaking, my personal answer is no, because I used to go through this kind of suggestion. my paper, I have to change, totally change the original concept of my paper. And I was okay because for me, when I submit my paper to a journal, I have to uh, I have to follow whatever has been stated as the requirement of the journal. Even it means that I have to change the original concept. If you ask me whether or not I get hurt, my ego get hurt, no, not at all. I don't know what other writers, but for me, I don't, because I won't take it personally. The reviewers command, I take the reviewers command as a professional way, and I change my the concept of my writing in a very professional way as well. So nothing to do with my ego, Ramon. Thank you for asking.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Santri, for your wonderful presentation. And also thank you for your responding in this Q&A session. Again, thank you, Dr. Santri. Now we are coming to the end of today's webinar, but before that, we still have some activities to go. So I'm going to invite Mrs. Linda, our beloved moderator, to lead us to the next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. Great appreciation to Ibu Santri, who has enlightened us with her experiences in terms of three main problems that we face mostly in our lives as academics or as lecturer, teacher, students, and even as professionals in terms of research and writing.